This is day 5 of Swift UI. Now I gotta say, if you want to see the Swift version for day 5, check it out. It should be out right now. Today, I learned a lot about loops and conditions, but rather than show you my notes, I want to go over the checkpoint they gave me when it came to understanding loops and conditions. The problem is called FizzBuzz and has been used in job interviews, university entrance tests, and more for as long as I can remember. That's the instructor talking. Your goal is to loop from 1 through 100 for each number. If it's a multiple of 3, print fizz. If it's a multiple of 5, print buzz. If it's a multiple of 3 and 5, print fizz buzz. Otherwise, just print the number. So this gave me a lot to think about, right? Because I understood in my mind, okay, loop 1 through 100, that's no problem. I can either do it through the range thing I learned, create an array to do it, but I first chose do it through the range, create a variable, do dot 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 100, the range. And then now looking at the conditions, that's where I think I messed up as, because I didn't think of it as a whole. I just kind of like read it from top to bottom and try to solve it that way. Because the issue I was having when I kept checking my work was that it wasn't doing this computation. So I'm like, I know that there are numbers that are a multiple of 3 and 5. So it's like, how can I fix my solution so that way it makes sense? And that way it does all 3 conditions. Because I know that there are numbers that fit within 3 and 5 that are multiples. And then if that works, then I know that there are numbers for 3 and 5, separately from 1 through 100. So I was like, okay, let me just start coding stuff. Let me see what I get. So this is what I first did. Here's what I did at first. So now I did it's gonna give me an error. So now what I did for I in 1 through 100, then do the conditions. It was a multiple of 3, 5, 3 and 5, print that out, right? This looks like it's correct, but like I said before, it's not, because it wasn't running this condition when I saw the print statement. I was like, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? And then I started to realize, like, how you put the conditions in order makes a lot of sense, right? Because if you know that there are multiples of 3 and 5 from 1 to 100, then that should be at the top here. And then everything else should follow through when it comes to meeting the other conditions. So that's why I went from this to something like this. So same for loop, but the order has changed, and I use else if. So that way I made sure there's no duplicates when I print it out. And you notice how I put it at the top here, the condition that makes the most sense and has to work in order for the other 3 to really make sense has to be the one where both conditions have been met, from my understanding. And then afterwards, everything else just made sense, follow through. Yeah, let me print that out. So now if you notice, exactly. So now the question is, now that I've solved the problem, what's a better way to refactor this to make it look less redundant, or just a simpler way, right? I'm pretty sure I'm gonna learn later on, but if you know, comment down below.